Now that I have the top case kind of hovering here, there are three cables that you need to know that are connected to the logic board from the top case. The first one here is my keyboard connector. That's this orange flex cable here. And then the other two are the speaker and the power cable. Depending on how taut the speaker cable is, this is something that I would normally remove. On this machine, it's been released from the sticky tape that's been down here because this machine's been repaired a few times, it appears. So we're just going to leave the speaker connected and leave the power button connected. If you can see it, there's the power button, my little blue candy cane cord. So the reason that I like to leave those guys connected is I know that I'm going to be pretty gentle with this, so I shouldn't end up putting strain on the cables. And the less cables you remove, the less cables you have a chance of damaging. That's kind of my theory with it. So now I'm going to begin removing screws from the top shield. So I had these are all the same size screws on this model, which is stellar, the iBook G3. If anyone out there has repaired those, knows that on the top shield for that, there are a crap load of different size screws. So this is where my technique is going to differ a little bit from the right way to do it. It differs a little bit from how certain technicians do this. Most technicians who've been replacing hard drives on iBooks for a long time will do it this way, but I'm sure there are going to be a few people out there that disagree with me. I only removed the screws from the top shield around where the hard drive is, because this section of the top shield bends up and down very easily without actually damaging the top shield, in my opinion. So I feel that this is a safe thing to do. And then you notice that the hard drive is revealed. There are 4 screws holding the hard drive in, 1, 2, 3, 4. If this was one of the newest model 14-inch iBooks, there's also usually a shield that covers where the flex cable is on this board. So there would be 2 more screws there. So you could have up to 6 screws in here when you get in. I'm only going to remove 2 because that's all I need to get the hard drive out of here. And now I can just gently lift up the hard drive, slide it out of the carrier from the other side. Now I can also tell that this hard drive has been removed because the little strap here has been broken. It's so sad. But that's okay, because unless you want to break the flex connector, never pull from this strap anyway. The best way to remove it, one of the things you need to know is underneath here, there is 2 rows of pins. And it's really important not to bend those pins when you're removing the hard drive if there's data on the drive that you'd like to get later. So I very gently, in the middle of the cable, grab and very, very gently rock back and forth and away from the pins. And you'll notice that the pins are all happy and straight, except for these 2 that were previously bent the last time the drive came out.
And that was not by me.
But anyway, that is the best way to not do damage to the flex cable. Cool tidbit to know, anyone who's taken apart a more modern machine knows that the pins have gotten bye-bye in lieu of SATA, which is a more solid connector. The hard drive on this guy we're not actually replacing. I'm just doing this for show. So also to show you the other things that would need to be removed if you want to replace the hard drive, there are 4 T8 screws around that keep the hard drive stable in place when it's in its mounting brackets. But we are going to skip that because I'm not actually going to replace this drive. So now I'm just going to go ahead and put it back as gently as we took it out. So I centered the flex cable on all of the pins before pushing down, and you'd notice that I started on this side because I wanted to take extra care around those pins that had been previously bent. So we don't want to lose the data on this machine. And I slide the carrier back in on the front side of the drive, and I slide those 2 T8s into the carrier on the back side of the drive, and it is nicely evenly reseated in there. So now we're just going to get the screws put in on the carrier here so the drive is nice and secure. I'm going to bend the shield down, and you'll notice that it looks about as pretty as it did before I bent it up. It didn't look that pretty to begin with. And I put my screws back in here. Also, the nice thing with the newer 14-inch iBooks is it's actually labeled where each screw on the top case goes. They all say M2x3, that's the size of the screw. Makes it a lot faster to put it together. Okay, sweet. So I'm ready to reseat my top case. Just like I put it on, I'm going to now be really careful around the DC-in board. So my first stop there. If you did need to disconnect your power, your speaker cable, you would have wanted to connect those before going to reseat the top case. The trackpad cable, however, you can do a little bit differently. The trackpad on some of these is self-seating. If the trackpad flex cable retained its stickiness to the top case, then after you seat the top case, you might notice that it's gone incorrectly. This poor abused iBook, none of the flex cables were still stuck where they should be. So I'm going to carefully navigate the trackpad cable back down. So that's seated nicely. Next step is going with the keyboard. Just like you pulled the flex cable straight up, you want to push it straight down. Now I've got my RAM shield. So I carefully weaved the end of the Airport Extreme cable into there. And I'm going to get my 4 screws in here. And I totally realized that I just skipped. That's not the right screw to go there, but that's okay. I just skipped the 3 top case screws, which is fine because you can do them in whatever order you feel like here. Yeah, and I will be honest, if anyone's looking at the size of these screws, I'm putting them back where they came from, but it looks like whoever repaired this machine last kind of did a free-for-all with where the screws go. Slide my airport card into the logic board there, snap my airport antenna in, and seat my clips so that the Airport Extreme card's not going to move around in there. For the keyboard, you put the tabs in the front first, and push down on your little bouncy guys here, and seat the keyboard nice and flat. Close this, turn it over, and now the 4 screws that we took out, which was the whole reason we needed to remove that bottom shield. So the slightly shorter one goes in that front left corner, and then my 3 long ones, one goes in by the logic board next to the fan, one goes in by the sleep light.
Hello. Is this the only one today?
It is, yes,
Okay.
thanks. And then the last one over here goes in the bottom frame there. So again, normally there would be 3 screws going in through the optical drive here, and unfortunately we only have 1 of them in this poor machine. And long screw going in by the DC-in board. 3 screws going from the bottom frame to the top case and the battery bay. And now we're ready to seat the bottom shield. So I like to start seating the bottom shield from the front of the computer here.